it's me again, Lynn from Malajan's Herbals, and we're going to make salt dough ornaments tonight. So, funny story, I know I have cookie cutters. I haven't baked in a really long time, but I know I have cookie cutters, so I didn't worry about having those when I started baking. Now, I always do when I'm cooking or doing something like making ornaments. I make a batch before before we do this video, so I know what to tell you and how things are going. So what I'm going to tell you tonight is that apparently I only have Halloween ornaments, and so or cookie cutters. I have Halloween cookie cutters, which I thought was pretty funny. So what we're going to make today are moons. So I've got the waxing moon, the waning moon, and this cup makes the full moon, so I'll have all three moons. And I've got an apple, and I'm not quite sure how they figured that one was a Halloween one, but it was in a Halloween package. And then I've got a real funny one that is freehand that I will show you shortly. I've started decorating my tree a little bit differently of late. I usually will put like birds on it, and I mean, we used to have all the Hallmark ornaments and things of that nature, and then I decided I liked going back a little bit more to nature, and so I use pine cones and I use little birds, and last year I put candy canes on my tree. Then I had a huge infestation of ants, and they ate the candy canes and left the candy cane papers. You know, the little shrink wrap they put around it. It was the weirdest thing. When I took the tree down, I had these little candy cane skins that was just freaked me out. So we're not going to do that. I am actually going to go look and see if I can find some wooden candy canes to put on the tree, because I think that will be more ant-proof. One year, the other thing that I did was I strung popcorn. Now, I only did that one year because, good gravy, it takes you forever and 2 days after that to string enough popcorn to put garland on the tree. What I have done since then is I will take pine cones, like we did, if you remember, at Halloween. We took a straw wreath, and I put peanut butter all over the wreath, and then I put popcorn on it. You can do the same thing with pine cones. Put peanut butter all over the pine cones, and then roll it in birdseed. And it is, and hang those on your trees for the birds during the winter. You can do the same thing with just popcorn, is just make strings of popcorn with, 10 pieces or 12 pieces of popcorn, and then hang those on the tree. And it looks like, icicles, kind of. But they don't last very long on my trees because I've got squirrels, and so it's not so much the birds, I think, that take the food out of the trees. It's the squirrels, and they are gluttonous. So it's a real short. You better look at it today because tomorrow it's going to be gone. Now, my recipe for the salt dough ornaments comes from allrecipes.com. And I'm going to tell you, that what they suggest is 4 cups of flour, 1 cup of salt, and 1.5 cups of warm water. Well, I halved that recipe, and I still ended up with more ornaments than I needed. And so look at what your output is going to be. Are you going to decorate your whole tree with these? Are you going to give them out as gifts for a whole lot of people? Or what are you going to do? It is, you want to be mindful of what you're doing. Now, this is very similar to a pie dough, and you can use it to make 3D ornaments. I'm not that talented. And even when I did this years ago, my snowman even looked funny. So it's like, okay, we're going to just do the cookie cutter kind. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a 1/2 cup of salt. and then 2 cups of flour. Now this is a half cup measuring cup, so even though I'm putting 4 in, it's only 2 cups. Okay, then what you're going to do is add water to it. It is, at one point I wasn't sure if I didn't want to add a little bit more water, but I think that it ended up being okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to add it, they say add it slowly, so I added a little bit at a time and start stirring. Ultimately, we're going to knead it like you need like you need bread dough, although it's more like a pie dough than bread dough, so it doesn't get as soft and fluffy as the bread dough does. Now another idea for your tree, I just am getting mine up today, and it is, but one of the things that I think would be a good idea, and I think I'm going to implement this next year at Thanksgiving. You ever make a paper chain when you were a kid and put it on your tree or in your classroom or something like that? Well, at Thanksgiving, we do gratitudes where we say what we're grateful for at Thanksgiving dinner. And it is, and what I'm kind of thinking is we have the gratitude jar at the store where you put in your gratitudes, and then I put them on my posts when I post, which I haven't done for a while, but I also don't have very many gratitudes left. And it is, but I think it would be very cool to write things that you're grateful for on those those little strips of paper, and then put them on, make the paper chain with all of the wonderful words, and then go ahead and put it around your tree. You could make it big and bulky as you like, or some, very sweet, small. Okay, I've abandoned the spoon, and now I'm kneading it with my hands. It is, but I think that would be a great idea too. I am very fond of Little House on the Prairie books, and I love the holiday traditions that they do. I watched every single episode of the Waltons. Same thing. The holiday episodes always are ones that are among my favorite. And it is, and I kind of like to get a little bit back to what it used to be, as opposed to as commercial as it is now. Now, which I know that's kind of strange, but in terms of I have a store, and yet I still want to be a little less commercial. But a lot of the stuff at the store is made at the store, and so ultimately it's gifts that that I have made for people, and or they are gifts that people come in and buy all the different parts to, and then they go home and make it. It is, those kind of things feed my soul a little bit more than getting a computer or something of that nature. I am going to put this on the table now. Now I've got this very cool thing that is like 100 years old. I'm not quite sure. See, it's Tupperware, and it's a plastic mat that it shows you where the 8-inch, the 7-inch, the 8-inch, and the 9-inch circle for pie dough, and it is. But the thing is that what's really nice is it, with a little bit of flour, it doesn't stick. The dough doesn't stick to your table, and it is a whole lot easier to clean up than a wooden table. Having done that for quite a while, many years, I really like this. I lost mine a long time ago, and I was at my daughter's house, and I was saying that I really missed having one, and she says, "Oh, Mom," she says, "I've got one," and she whips open her cupboard, and she says, "Here, you can have it," because I'm never going to use it. And so thank you, Molly, because here I am using it. Now you want to make sure that it's all mixed well. You don't have to knead this for hours. You just want to make sure that it's all mixed well. And so that's what we're going to do. Now, it says here that you need to be preheating your oven to 325, and believe it or not, I did do that. So, because I'm not a big preheater, and but I did do that. And then it said you want to bake it for an hour. Well, that's not true. I went down and checked at 45 minutes, and this is what I got. So it's a little browner than I thought it would be. But so check it before an hour, otherwise they could be really overcooked. So now, if you haven't done bread or pie shells before, you want to put a little bit of flour on top of the dough that you're rolling out, because it will stick. Again, depending upon what kind of a rolling pin you have. Mine, the one that I'm using right now, is marble, and this sticks less than wood. I've got wood as well, because back in the day I did a tremendous amount of baking, and we did baked all my own bread, baked my kids were in middle school before they ever got store-bought bread here at home, and now I don't do that, but because I don't eat that much bread. I'm thinking it might be time to at least make one. I had the opportunity last night. I had a fire in the fireplace, and so I roasted potatoes, and that was good. And I've baked bread in the fireplace too. It isn't as fine a bread as what you would make in the oven, because you can't monitor the heat quite as well. But it still is good. So we're going to roll this out to about a half to a quarter of an inch thick. And I'm kind of overshooting the plastic here, and I'm still getting flour all over the tablecloth. But the good news is it's just the flour, it's not the dough. Now, the thinner you roll your dough, the less time it will cook. So if you roll it to very thin, you're going to want to make sure you check it even at 30 minutes rather than 45. All right, now, to make the moons, oh, wait a minute. I forgot a knife. Let me go get a knife, because I'm going to do the cool one first. I'll be right back. Okay, so this one, if you can see it, this is going to be a mask. I'm going to write 2002 on it, and I'm going to take string and super glue it to the sides for my ear holders, and that's going to be hanging on the tree to commemorate this year of 2020. And so what I did was I just took a knife and free-handed the mask. So, there it is. And I'm going to put that on my cookie sheet. Now the thing with this is because there's nothing in it except for salt and flour and water, it's not going to stick to your cookie sheet. So you don't need to put anything on it. You can put it straight on, don't oil it or grease it. You don't need to put parchment on it, just straight onto the pan. Now, in order, if you're going to do moons because you don't have other cookie cutters, the way that you do if you want the triple aspect, the way that you do that is where you put the hole. Now, you're going to need to put holes in these because if you're hanging them on the tree, you've got to do a hole. Now, you could use a straw. My straws are way up high. I don't know if you can tell, but my ceiling down here is like 10 feet tall, and I've got cupboards all the way up to the top, and my straws are very high, and I happen to have this little gadget, which is a tiny little funnel, and so I'm using the funnel, but a straw is going to work just as well. So if you want the waning moon, you put it so that the horns are facing to the left, and put your hole in the top, right there. For a waxing moon, you put the horns to the right, and they're actually that way. You've got your waxing and your waning moon. Now, my grandma always used to use cups for biscuits, and I didn't have a circle cutter, so there's my full moon. And we'll put the hole right at the top. Now, what's cool about this full moon is this is a little kid cup, but it's the right size to go with the 2 crescent moons. If you wanted, get a bigger cup, paint this with acrylics, and then if you have a thumbnail picture of your child, you can glue your child's picture on here, and then it's not a moon, it's just a flat ornament with your child's picture, and put the year so that you know how old they were when you took this picture. So that would be good. Something else you could do with this one is put glue on it, like in a spiral, and then put glitter on it, and then it's just a regular Christmas tree ornament. So you're only as limited as your imagination. So if you have a tiny baby, a little bit bigger, you could put the handprint in here. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that. The apple is the same. The apple is actually a little bit bigger. So right there you can see, you could put a little bit bigger picture on it or whatever. Again, you're only limited as far as your imagination goes. So, if you forget to put the hole in, what you can do is get super glue and super glue ribbon on it. So that's another way that you can do that. Well, we're approaching 20 minutes. So I'm going to move on to the next portion of that, and that is the decorating. So I went to Walgreens. Oh, and look at what I got. They have Harry Potter wands that are pens. And so I got Harry's and I got Hermione's because that's all they had. But I thought that was pretty cool. So, acrylic paint and some paintbrushes, some super glue, and some pens. So my idea is I'm going to sit here, and I've made a little bit of a mess. We're going to open up the paint. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is I am going to paint the mask white, and then when the mask is dry, then I am going to take the pens, and I'm going to write 2002 or 2020, and then I'll add the ear holders on it. So it's real easy to cover these things. It is with the paint. It is, now these aren't, I mean, while I'm doing this one, I probably should do this on a shrinky dink or something, because these are not long-lived ornaments. They will crack and they will dry. But for this year, this will be kind of fun to have it on my tree. Now, if you don't want to do this kind of ornament, you could actually get paper masks and do the same thing. Just put the date on it, and that one would last for a great long time. I am rather messy when it comes to this kind of thing. I'd also, if you're going to do more than a couple, I would get bigger, I would go to the craft store and get bigger things of paint, because this is going to not go very far in terms of how many ornaments you can do with this. So now the apple, close the white, and we're going to open the apple of the red. Now, when my kids were little, which was a very long time ago, they used to love doing stuff like this. And it was something that we would do, something Christmas or Yule every day in the month of December. We had an advent calendar, and in the advent calendar, it was one that I'd made that was a green felt flat tree with ornaments on it, and it was, and every day they'd pull something out of a pocket, and it would tell them what they were going to do for that day. Now, again, it was sometimes it was watch Frosty the Snowman or something on TV, and sometimes it was walk around outside and look at the Christmas lights, or deliver cookies, or bake cookies. It was nothing big, but it was just something to get the excitement for the entire month rather than just for Christmas Day. And it would also sometimes be something sharing, so that, taking something to the neighbors, learning to give as well as to receive. So, there's the apple. Now, what I could do with the moons is I could spread glue on them and put glitter so they'd be shiny. You could take the pens and just write on something. So let's get so we've got a red and a green one, and I'm going to take the moon, and I'm not going to make it a moon. Instead, I'm going to make it just an ornament, and I'm going to make it by now. If you get these ornaments or get these pens, they're not going to last very long because the dough is still rough, and so it's tearing the felt that the ink is in. So don't use expensive ones. Go get cheap ones, and that way you won't be heartbroken when they're they don't last long. So, all right, and that's how that one looks. Okay, if you decide to make some of these, take some pictures of your finished product and put them on the comment section so I can see what wonderful work you do. And we'll be back on Wednesday. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do on Wednesday, but it'll be something fun. Now, next Monday, I won't be doing a Wisdom from Gran because we will be doing Yule. If you would like to join us, you'll need to have a yellow or a white candle. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a jar candle so that I can light it, and it'll be lit for 3 days to welcome back the sun. And but you can use any size candle that you have. It really doesn't matter. We'll be going over the story of the Oak King and the Holly King, and I am very much looking forward to celebrating Yule with you. So have a very good evening, and I will see you on Wednesday. Blessed be.